Yo, what is going on, guys? I'm back with another review video. It is going to be on my ESPTiger WuGi2. And right off the bat, although there is one horrible thing about this pad, this is easily one of my top 3 like all-time favorite pads. It's not like a top 3 speed pad for me. It's like a top 3 pad for me. It is honestly one of the most consistent, best performing speed pad bases I've used in quite a while. I just want to get out of the way the only bad thing about this pad. It is really bad. I'm sure for some people it's going to be like completely deal breaking, but the base is the worst base I have ever used. Out of all the pads I've used pads with super generic bases that look amazing to me now, because look at this. I'm pretty sure I can flick it. I can flick it and it moves. Like, this base is honestly horrible. I mean, if you're moving your pad around, it feels great. It feels like I don't know what kind of base this is. It has a cool texture, but it is such a horrible base. I genuinely hope that they make an updated batch where they change the base completely, but that is very unlikely. Coming from a downside to a better upside, the packaging is beautiful. It comes shipped completely flat, and I do feel like the reason for that is because it is such a stiff pad. You can see that it doesn't really move. It kind of stays like flat the whole time, which is really good. But there's also like no plushiness to this pad. I have to press pretty hard to get any sort of dig in the pad. And I don't really care about plushiness on a whole lot of pads. Unless they're artisan, I do prefer X-Softs, but that's pretty much it. In terms of the surface itself and like what kind of mouse feet I would want to use, for this pad, I think any kind of mouse feet is fine. If you're a glass freak, then use glass. It really doesn't matter. The surface itself is so buttery smooth. There's very little initial friction. The glide is very light, but the stopping power is definitely what surprised me about this pad. I am not a huge speed pad advocate. Even on pads like Ayate Otsu that I used to use, I didn't really like that pad all that much, but this pad brought me back to it because of how easy it is to get used to this pad. Coming from pads like the GameSense Radar, things like an Artisan Zero, a Vaxi PA pad, this pad was so easy to get used to. And I'm really, really bad with speed pads typically, but this pad could be your gateway into speed pads, in my personal opinion. It's so easy to get used to, and it's just really surprising overall. In terms of the mouse feet I would use, I don't really know, because I'm using core pads on my XM1R, but these have always felt like really buttery, so the initial friction isn't all there, but the weight is kind of what adds that stopping power. I don't really think the mouse feet do too well here. BTL skates feel really good on this pad, actually. It might be because they're a bit smoother, so maybe BTL if you want like a more smoother experience. If you want a more controlled, then always go core pad or Tiger Arc ones. In terms of the stitched edging, it's fantastic. I don't have any frays anywhere, no signs of like heavy use either, and I've been using this pad for around a month now, and it is just so fun to come back to. No matter how many times I put it away, I always wanted to come back to this pad. The stitched edging is really good. It's barely raised, but even like rubbing my finger specifically over the edges, it's really hard to notice, especially when playing. It's like almost impossible to notice. The design is actually something I really wanted to talk about. It's definitely something that I really, really liked when looking at this pad, and it was just really surprising that they could get such a detailed design on a mouse pad. Typically it's a lot harder, but this is a non-coated pad, so you won't have to worry about it wearing down at all. I think it is a synthetic Cordura. Any Cordura pad is going to have a lot of longevity. In terms of the games that I played for this pad, I obviously immediately went to Apex. It was so nice to track. Even in games like Valorant, it was very, very easy. I even busted up my Starlight 12, and the main reason I never used this mouse is I was never able to get used to how light it is. I never really felt like I got a lot of stopping power when using this mouse, but ever since switching to this WuGi2 and really adjusting to faster surfaces, it's been so easy to get used to my Starlight 12 that it is now one of my top 3 favorite mice. I keep going back to this for other games too. But back to the WuGi2. It is just such a premium mouse pad for only $40. The only, I guess, another downside would be the size. It comes in at 480 by 410. I do feel like that is still a little bit too small. I really want to see like a 490 by 420, but obviously my gold standard is 500 by 500. I would love to see this pad in that kind of size. It would be like one of my endgame pads, honestly. But other than the base, I do feel like it's something that you could get used to depending on how you aim. I pretty much always have my forearm planted, so you can see with my hand up here, so you can see that I'm not holding it down. You can see that even though it moves very minimal, it's almost unnoticeable in game. But you might notice it depending if you don't play with a lot of forearm contact. In terms of comparisons with other speed pads, I did bust out my Hayata Otsu, like I said. I did also use a GameSense Rush. I do think that this pad is way better than the Rush, and depending on if you like plushiness in your pad, if you like an X-Soft or a soft, then the Hayata Otsu is way better. But if you don't really care about plushiness and you just care about performance overall, I definitely like this pad more than the Artisan Hayata Otsu. In soft, I cannot describe how incredible this pad has been and just how consistent it is. In every single game, I never felt like it was too fast one day or too slow another. It was just such a consistent pad to use. It was honestly amazing, and I'm so grateful for CraftyCraft for putting out a review on this pad. I was gonna wait, or I actually completely wanted to skip it because I know I don't like speed pads. But after watching his review, it made me want to get this pad, and I just fell in love with this pad. I still love control pads, and I'll still review them. It's just speed pads now. I'm going to be able to give a much better review on because I'm out of my comfort zone. I now can use both. So now I'll be able to give an honest review of both instead of my bias of only liking control pads. But yeah, that's pretty much all for the review. It was basically me just talking about how amazing this pad is and only like 2 downsides really. This pad has just been so incredible to use and just so fun. I rarely find pads that like I'm like, yes, I want to use it and it actually be like a really good time. So this is definitely one of those pads that I would say is an absolute blast to use. It's just so much fun. My next review, I'm not too sure of what I'm going to review yet. I have 2 mice that I could post a review on, but they're just so like uninspiring to use and they're just not that fun, to be honest. But I did get my Vaxi PB, and that is a pad that is absolutely, that is another super fun pad to use. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll hope to see you in the next video. Peace.
Okay, that's cringe. You can...
I missed every shot. So
Reloading. Finding them.
nice fucking minute. No, I'm just saying, like, Simon out here playing GT, he knows this shit.
character.
He's flashed.
Shield cracked.
My butthole's exposed.
Nice. Okay, I hit someone by me. She's down.
Okay, last one alive somewhere. Wrecking you up.
He got played. I'm with you, dog. There's 2 by me. Lifeline's cracked. There's 3. Oh. Okay. Lifeline's super cracked. Nice. 2 down. Simon's all you.
She's 9. She's white.
You hit her. You stuck her. Nice. Damn, I fuck. Oh, no way.
Crack one. He's dead.
That way we're Oh, dude, I'm getting blown up. I'm just looking for shield. I'm just looking for... One's rushing. But I'm really low flesh. I can't get it. For some reason, I'm retarded. Fuck off,
How much am I
losers.
left?
He's super low. Okay. Unless 2 squads decide to murk you. Just run down. Just... Only remaining. Nice.